Hello, Carrie.
Hello, Sandra.
Who are we?
The Screaming Divas, as always. Hello.
Hello, in the woods. You're in the woods.
I'm definitely in the woods, in the winter wonderland.
I'm in a dressing room in Paris. And today I'm going to introduce who we interviewed today.
Do it. Do it.
His name is David Walker, former singer, opera singer, countertenor, and now
The general director of Palm Beach Opera, which is really super cool, and the story of how that happened, but primarily the story of what they are accomplishing right now. Woohoo!
one of, if not the first, opera companies to do a staged opera during the pandemic, whatever we call this time that we're living in right now.
Insanity. With orchestra, with chorus, with an audience. Unbelievable. It happened, people. It's happening. There are still tickets available if you live down there or want to get down there, however you want to safely get down there. It is so cool. We have so many of our friends there right now that are able to sing. Some of them haven't sung in a year. So this was just big news. We really wanted to promo Palm Beach Opera and David and his team and their vision of making this happen in this insanity. So
thank you. And thank you for working so hard to make this happen.
Really. Absolutely.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, we love you. And here's a clip. Now that you are running this ship, or head of this wonderful opera company that I love so dearly, what plans do you have for the future? What do you want your stamp to be on PBO?
Well, I didn't really realize that I've already started to put the stamp on PBO, certainly in terms of showing resiliency, ingenuity, creativity. I'm looking forward to increasing the artistic standard here. It's been excellent, but let's keep going. Let's keep going in those directions. I look forward to continued training of resident artists. I would like to see if we can do more productions. Cool. I know we're seasonal, but we used to do a performance in December, which around the Great Recession, I think we had to remove it. Right. In those regards, I would like to see us be even more, what's the right way to phrase this? Integrated into this community here. I know what we need to do nationally and for the industry, which is wonderful. Right. But this community it's unusual community because there's so much extraordinary wealth right up against extremely underserved communities.
Yes.
And we do really great with education and community engagement programs. I'd like us to find more. And be more regularly in their lives, not just one-offs.
Right.
Yeah. Those types of things.
I hope you drink out of that bottle. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's happening.
Hello?
No!
There you are!
Hi, lovelies.
Hello, lovely yourself. How are you?
I am so good. I'm just so happy to see your faces.
I know, it's so good to see your faces. It's so good to see your face too. Hi.
I just want to tell you that it's a little later here in Paris. So I stopped at the grocery store. There you go. Don't stop. Hello.
Is that the Floridian Santa, the Floridia Santa with the sunglasses?
It is.
It's wait, what month are we in?
It doesn't mean that there may not be something in there.
Ooh, in your office. I'm kind of loving that.
You're going to see me drinking out of a bottle because I am in my dressing room in Paris and there is no glass here.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
I mean,
cheers. Cheers, Carrie.
Cheers.
Happy 20, whatever we're in. Where are we? What? Nice, Sandra.
A small fun moment. Who's that? Is that Carrie Alcala?
Oh my Jesus.
Is that her singing in Tosca at Palm Beach Opera? Wait.
Oh my Jesus.
Who's that?
That's me.
Fabulous gala artist.
I wasn't there when you weren't there when I did Louise Miller, right?
No, and Carrie, I wasn't there before your Tosca with us. A few other times you performed here.
Right. Yeah. Palm Beach Opera is home for me. It's where I grew up. So, I mean, I was there. We both were there with Maestro when Maestro Guadagno was running the ship. So,
That's
steering
how
the
old
ship.
we are.
Indeed.
How you doing? So how are things in Palm Beach? Talk
They're
to us.
very, very good. I'm on cloud nine right now. We just opened our new outdoor festival. It's incredible. I think that we're one of the first in the nation to do it on this large of a scale with a full orchestra, full chorus, major principals. And I'm sorry you're not singing with us. That's the only thing that's missing, both of
I
you.
mean, seriously, David, seriously. Listen.
You know, when this all happened for all of us, I just thought, you know, what we need to turn over every single stone to still figure out how to perform and produce live opera.
Right.
And you know, we took it on as a mission, and it is part of our mission, but we basically killed ourselves to do it. But it's so worth it. The singers, the orchestra, the audience. You know, we haven't had it for like a year, and so we've worked on it for over 9 months. And but just being there in the audience and all the rehearsals and just for the performance, you just start crying. I just started crying because of what we were able to do and how much we missed it and how important it is. Live opera is so transformative,
Yeah.
and it really brings hope and healing back.
Oh,
Well, that's
absolutely.
You know?
a lot of healing. And I think that right now, people need that so much. I've been fortunate enough to get out and perform, and the response that people have, it's overwhelming. And
Mhm.
they crave it, they want it. Yes, they're doing online things, and yes, they're watching all of that, but it's just you can't replace it. You
Right.
just cannot replace live music.
You know,
Tell me.
that's a really good point too, because we thought about the work for virtual and digital like everybody did in the summer. And I had us hesitate because while we may be good at it, we're not skilled at that. And that's not what our patron base in this community really does. And
Mhm.
I thought, you know, kudos to everybody's just figuring that out. But I want to make my directions really figure out how to make live opera happen.
And you also have the wonderful part of that. That's not the right adjective that I wanted to use, but you also are very fortunate that you live in a state that has beautiful weather almost year round. So
It's very true.
when you normally have your operas, which is in the springtime, January through, I can't remember, March, April,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, you're able to put this outside, which is amazing and fabulous. So that's also a wonderful thing that you have down there. So you have that option.
That's true. We're very fortunate and thankful for that.
Tell me this, David. You took over, if I'm correct, you took over as general director of Palm Beach Opera in October 2019. Is that correct?
Correct. I was appointed designee or designate in May of 2019, and then took
Okay.
over officially in October 2019. And before that was the managing director.
Right. So, because we want to talk about that later, but as far as Palm Beach Opera is concerned, general director, is this the first season that you planned was during the pandemic, or was it last year?
I've been part of the planning for a few years,
Okay.
but in terms of sole planning,
Yes.
yes, this was the first year. And you know what a gift to try to do it in a COVID year. You know, Opera America has been so great in terms of having just breakout sessions since the COVID really hit with general directors or development or artistic. And there's a special class of, I guess I call it the first year general directors COVID class. You know, nothing like that. I mean, the season was going spectacularly. Our turnout was incredible.
Okay.
It was the best selling production in like 12 season.
Amazing.
Barbara Seville was a joy. And then you're welcome. Here comes a global pandemic crisis.
Well, you know what? You learn a lot from it, I'm sure.
Yeah. And as have you, right?
Boy, Carrie and I, we were just discussing that, how much we've learned in the last year, not only about ourselves, but about the art form,
Hmm.
about communications, and about how we are communicating with the world since our voices have to be silent.
Hmm.
And it's difficult. And all the other artists that are struggling and suffering. And for you to bring this
Yeah.
opportunity to so many artists, let alone the audience, we'll put that aside, but artists struggling.
Mhm.
Um,
And American artists, especially, I'm going to say
Yeah.
American and Canadian. I mean, on this side of the pond, we haven't been able to do what Europe's been able to do. And so, especially live with an audience. So I think, I mean, it's amazing, David. Congratulations and kudos to you for making it happen and for having the vision to do it. You and your team, I'm sure. I mean, it's really brilliant. I loved the Opera News article. FYI, anybody that hasn't checked it out, check it out. It's in the January issue, that talked about your idea for a festival. And we also need to tell everybody that your career started out as an opera singer. So you are now on the other side of the footlights and you understand both sides, which is huge. And we really want to talk about that.
Like throwing it all at you there.
I am sorry, David. I was like, boom. But I really love it because you have worked in festivals, you understand festivals from behind the footlights, and now you're on the other side. We wanted to talk to you about what your vision is for the future for Palm Beach Opera going forward.
Sure. First of all, kudos to you two also for creating this series. I mean, being inventive and creative and doing this important platform for not only yourselves, but so many people in the industry. So thank you both for doing that.
We've had fun.
Yay. Wait, cheers to that.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, the cheers moment.
Yeah.
Cheers. Yes.
Excuse to drink online. Come on, people.
Can I just tell a quick story about this cup?
Yes.
Yes, please.
So, believe it or not, you know Steve Perry from Journey?
Yes.
Hello, singers. You should know him, right? His cousin worked on our staff. And so this came about.
Stop.
That.
There you go. Yeah, you sing.
I haven't sung in 10 years.
That's amazing.
Brilliant, David. Brilliant.
So, okay, you're in the festival now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Talk to us about that. And also about Palm Beach Opera. How is their season different than other opera houses?
Sure. So we're in the festival now. So typically what our season is, sort of like Carrie mentioned, it's kind of from December to April. Okay. So it's a very seasonal community. So it's all made it tricky as well, that we're not a stagione company that performs from September through April.
Right. So
we typically have our performances in an art center, the Kravis Center for Performing Arts, where the lovely Carrie and you both have performed. Mm-hmm. And so this season we had 3 operas scheduled, and I decided to keep 2 of them because of title recognition, but changed the Pearl Fishers for Pagliacci to just sort of do what we could to help ticket sales and interest for the festival. Mm-hmm. So the festival is 2 performances of each of those operas over 10 days. Okay. So we've now opened Bohème and Flute, and tomorrow night we open Pagliacci. But the audience response, it's been incredible. Friday night we had 800 people.
Wow.
That's not happened yet in the United States, I don't think. No. And I know we want to talk about the future, but I have to tell you, this has been an incredible undertaking for me and my team, and I could not have done it without them and this board and these patrons and support. This team is amazing. So I need to do a shout out to this team. Incredible people.
Love it.
I'm very, very fortunate. Love them.
Yay.
But just the whole safety concern. Mm-hmm. So trying to figure out how to create a new season entirely, a festival we've never done before, and then become safety experts on top of that.
Learning curve.
I know. So talk us through that. What are the safety? What are you doing? What did you all figure out what was going to work for PBO?
So we started last May and June really studying all the CDC guidelines, World Health Organization guidelines. We started looking at all union recommendations and regulations. We started asking other organizations to share with us what we call the playbook on what they've done, like Atlanta Opera and some other ones. And also had interviews and discussions with general directors of those companies to say what was great and what was not great, and what did we learn, and what should we have done differently. And we also created a medical advisory team of infectious disease specialists and virology specialists to assist us with that. We got a testing sponsorship with a testing ArcPoint Labs.
Brilliant, because that's my next question, because companies can't afford that here in this country. So I really wanted to know how you pulled that off.
Yeah, it's free here.
Yeah, exactly. It's fantastic. That was difficult. It wasn't a full sponsorship.
Okay.
So when I was I'll just share this information. When I was budgeting for this back in July, I had really no idea what I was budgeting for because we hadn't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
So I budgeted a much lower amount that I thought was a good amount, which in the end, it came out to about at least 5 to 6 times more, into the hundreds, thousands. So this has been an extraordinary undertaking. And I think people say to me that we're genius or brilliant, and I say, comma, crazy.
Also, comma, passionate.
Yeah, passionate, commitment, and gumption.
There you go.
Right? Well, like you said earlier, I had performed at festivals. I've been an artist. You guys are artists. That passion, commitment, need. We would not, and I have singer folks on the team as well, as pianists and dancers and artists and theater folks. So their commitment to art was so incredible.
Love it.
But so how we're kind of doing it is we have different protocols for different constituents. So we have whole staff protocol of what that means in terms of working remotely or office.
Okay.
We have all of our artists as well. And then we have our production crew as well. Okay. So we had to create different protocols similarly for all of them, but there are some little differences. But for our artists, they had to get PCR tests before they came. I think they had to get that because they had to travel as well. And to carry your point too, we really wanted to focus on American artists because we knew all the difficulties with the visas and what was happening.
Well, you just can't fly. It's just not possible.
So we're not quarantining them. We're not bubbling them. We're asking them when they're not with us in rehearsals to really be committed to the CDC regulations of close contact and social distancing and masks. But our rehearsals everybody's tested regularly. And I'm jumping around a bit, but for our orchestra as well, we have a schedule where if you have aerolization, you get tested more.
Okay.
So for me, since I'm not singing, I only do it maybe once or twice a week.
Okay.
For singers, they do it much more frequently, as well as wind and brass.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
So we have this testing facility come to our sites where we have our rehearsals.
Brilliant.
So it's been a massive undertaking. We had to find 4 or 5 different facilities to rehearse all outdoors. Wow. No indoor rehearsals at all.
Okay.
So we had to tell all of our resident artists who were coming, as well as the principal artists and production crew, everything's outdoors. Are you okay with that?
Okay.
Because, you can get rained on. There's a lot of wind. It can get cold. It can get really hot. A lot of humidity.
Yep. So
all the rehearsals were outdoors. All of it is social distance, masks all the time. The only time singers were allowed to take off masks if they were really social distance and really trying to sing out in a run through.
Okay.
Or a zit probe. And the performances as well. They can have the mask off.
And the chorus?
The chorus is masked except for when they're singing.
Okay.
So we had to find a huge stage. So we were very lucky to find this amphitheater. We've done outdoor performances that were canceled because of rain. So I wanted to find an outdoor facility that had a roof.
Yes.
As well. So it's all open and it has a roof. So that's very fortunate for us. And the stage is very large. So we can have a larger chorus, a larger orchestra. So just think of it from way upstage. You've seen this. We sort of took models from Europe.
Yeah.
The chorus is on risers, social distance. The orchestra then is social distance, principal singers in the front.
Okay.
And all rehearsals were masked, all in social distance. The whole team became COVID compliance officers. So I've got a certificate.
Wow.
Wow. Who knew?
I'm going to put it on the wall. It's not there yet.
You could add that to your resume. Right?
I don't know if there's room with all those diplomas.
Exactly.
Cheers to that. Hey.
Yeah. Cheers to that. We're going to talk about that too.
And then we also did. We hired 3 risk mitigation managers, who are sort of our COVID cops, who have full authority to keep every one of us in charge, including myself and all of our colorful personalities of artists that we have with us, who may or may not want to participate in that all the time. It was such a great collaborative experience for everyone.
Cool.
Everyone really, I think at first some folks kind of resisted or felt we may have been talking down to them in terms of what we were requiring.
Okay.
But then they
that. Change is scary.
Right.
Change we resist, and until you have to get comfortable with it. And I'm sorry, singing with a mask is impossible. Just wearing a mask all the time is hard, but singing with one is impossible.
Exactly. So I know I'm bouncing around back and forth. So we did a lot of research, the team did, and we found out that there's a particular mask that singers were really, really loving and enjoying. And I think we got this idea from Opera Philadelphia, so thank you to them. But here's a plug for Air Queen, but it's the Air Queen mask.
Oh.
And you see how it's sort of
It's got
away from the face.
Yeah.
So you have space. You have space to sort of sing.
Yeah.
It's not smooth against your mouth.
Nice.
Oh, that's beautiful. I want one.
Well, I'll send you some. So each of the rehearsals, everybody has to get tested. They have to come and take their temperatures. So we have gates set up. They have to get fresh masks for every rehearsal. So if there's a 2-day session, they'll get one for the morning session, and then they'll go to lunch and come back and get a fresh one.
Oh my gosh, the cost of that, David. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah. We were committed to exceeding all safety protocols and needs. We really were. And we put all this in place, and we were also very dynamic in case, like, for example, if the two of you came and sang, you said, oh, can we do this? I don't feel really comfortable with that. Can we add that in? Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So what kind of government funding did you get, or did you qualify for government funding?
For this specifically, we didn't, but we did get a PPP loan.
Oh, awesome.
We qualified for that.
Okay.
So at the end of our fiscal year goes from June to May. So the Eugene Onegin that we had to cancel was on March 13th, Friday, of course.
Yeah.
A lot of organizations did.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we immediately went into full-on fundraising mode because I realized we need to do this. And we did very well. We actually ended our season with a surplus.
Wow.
In a COVID year.
Congratulations, David. Really, congratulations to you.
Yeah, that's no small
Yeah.
accomplishment.
No, it's Daniel Biaggi was the general director before, and the board previously, as well as our team now, is really dedicated to making surplus budgeting, cash reserves on hand. I'm sounding so executive director-like.
You are, but I love it.
That's amazing, because a lot of other opera companies didn't qualify. Some of the larger opera companies didn't qualify for the PPP. Do you find that because Palm Beach is not a huge, massive opera company, that has allowed you to go forward, maybe?
I think so. I think it allowed us to be nimble. That's a really great point. I think other very large established institutions are very grounded sort of in cement how they work. And we have the flexibility here. And a lot of other things, like Carrie mentioned, the weather.
Yep.
So it's also seasonal community, like I mentioned. So we know what window we can work within. But I think you're right. Large institutions may not be as flexible.
That's what we're seeing. A lot of even here in Europe, the larger opera companies, there's too many moving parts, and they just can't. They can't open because Carrie and I, we talked with Peter Gell. Yeah. And how many unions were there, Carrie?
13. He's dealing with 13 unions. I can't.
That is, just the few that we deal with here. I can't imagine dealing with 13 because it just makes the cogwheels stop. Yeah. Because they're all intertwined, and this union just, it's difficult. And we've had to really ask all of our folks, our orchestra, our chorus, when we went over all the safety protocols with him, we said, we need your buy-in. We need you to be a part of this. Will you be a part of this? What do you feel more comfortable with these protocols? What should we change? What should we do? So we've had to get buy-in from all of them, which we were very fortunate to do. And I can't imagine working with more unions that were difficult.
No. I can't imagine. That's amazing. Really? So with the festival aspect, which I love, I kind of feel like Santa Fe is a festival in that sense because, so many shows are running at the same time and we're all there together having a great time. There's always some massive party somewhere. FYI, people, yes, opera singers are fun to be with. So yay. So do you want to keep it once we are able to get back into the theaters, whenever that is, when you're able to do the Kravitz Center again, do you still want to keep this festival aspect going?
I like you both. I love festivals. I love them. They were for some of the reasons you just mentioned, some of my best times performing, it's mostly because of the fact that so much art is being created at the same time with so many artists.
Yes.
There's nothing like it.
No.
It's really, it's collaboration. You also get to go watch your fellow colleagues work, learn things from them, just really support them. So I wanted to do something with the festival for the past 6 or 7 years that I've been here, as have previous folks that were here. We just never really had the right opportunity.
Okay.
We really didn't. And this sort of, in a way, is a great happenstance of what we had to figure out. So for me and our board and our folks and our team, we're loving it. We're loving it. So we're already starting to plan what's for 2022. And at this moment, we're getting back to a little bit normal.
Okay.
Because I wanted to see how this festival worked for us.
Okay. Sure.
And if it could be in some form on its own in another month, or a smaller scale or something. I think it's a really great idea to see how we might be able to keep it a part of.
I love that.
We're free. We're free. We're going to do Screaming Divas concerts. So just an FYI.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh my God. This is like, I'm like, oh, we'll see.
Well, no, I'm serious. Count me in.
Screaming Divas concert? Yeah. Yeah.
We're to be guinea pig? We're all for it.
We want to do it.
You're already beloved here.
I love being down there. It's home.
With fans, major fans, both of you.
Tell me this. Oh, wait, sorry. I wanted to make sure that this was said, because you talked about all the different weather aspects of Florida, because yes, it's, humidity, buggy, windy, rainy, whatever. But you know what? So is Santa Fe. Santa Fe has its own issues with altitude, with being so hot that you just want to walk around naked all the time sometimes.
It's dry. It's so dry.
So dry. I remember like the windstorm coming through during one of the performances, and you have no saliva in your mouth. There are oxygen tanks on either side of that stage because singers are dying, so the rain comes and it blows sideways and all the instrumentalists start coming, underneath the pit, or it has to shut down. And we all still go there and still love to sing there because there's something so special, like you said, about a festival and all of us artists being able to feed off of each other in that way. It's really just a brilliant thing. So I love that you did it. I hope that it happens again. So yay, PBO.
Thank you. And I ate many a bug on the Santa Fe stage.
We all did. Protein.
About that.
What did you do? What did you do in Santa Fe?
Handles Agrippina.
I covered you, David.
Yes.
You did?
So I want to ask one more question about.
Oh, sorry. We have to talk about that. Yeah, because Christine Gerke was singing and I covered you. And that's, I think, when we discovered that we both were from Florida State.
Yeah, I think we keep always talking about this sort of, and I think you came a year after me, but I think you came in my final year because we were in opera workshop class together, weren't we?
Was Michael McConnell teaching the opera workshop class? Oh, yeah. Lord. Oh my God.
It was in the 90s.
It was at the end of the night.
Are we the same age?
How old are you?
I think we're close.
We record this, David, so we will edit this out.
Oh, good.
Have you found with the pandemic that there are more snowbirds kind of hanging around in Florida, and you have more people there to watch the opera and to sponsor it and to donate?
Yes, that's an interesting question. More people stayed. This community really is snowbird-like, and that certain day in May or April, they'll go back up to Northeast. But because of the pandemic, really they couldn't leave, so a lot of them stayed, and then a lot more folks from Northeast came down here. Yeah. But what we found here is that we did a lot of surveying to see what people would be willing to do and what time of year we were doing that. We did it all summer into the early fall, which is what really helped make the final decisions of doing the festival.
Smart.
So I tried to really figure out all my facts in something completely unknown, in an unknown world about what's happening with the COVID pandemic crisis to decide on the festival. But the fundraising, there's so many goals that we've hit and done because of this festival. We've had continuity of presence. We've given people hope and healing. The commitment, passion, and gumption that we've showed to our patrons, what we're doing for the artists, that people have really rallied around that in terms of fundraising. And the goals that I set for the fundraisings for the festival well past it, hundreds of thousands well past it. So that's very inspiring. It's very inspiring that those people believe in that so much that they really want to support it. So the fundraising for all of us has gone very well. Tickets, good.
Okay.
I'd love to do better, but having 800 people or 600 people is fantastic.
Brilliant.
In the middle of a pandemic, to be the first opera house, I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I would say that with our patrons here, we've had to change the marketing message maybe 4 times, depending on what was actually happening with the increase of COVID cases here.
Oh, right.
So that there's been
Florida.
Yeah, there's been the 4 or 5 states that have just sort of been like gold winners of the rate increases since summer. So we happen to be one of them.
Yep.
Go Florida. So whenever we started with a real artistic approach to it and the stars that are coming, then we realized, we need to go real safety concerns because of everybody. Then we went back to artists, the major artists and the stars and what we're doing. And then we had to go back to COVID safety again.
Okay.
So you'll see a variety of what we had to be flexible and dynamic with what we were hearing and learning from the people that we wanted to bring this to.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And what is your median age of your audience, and what are you doing? I'm going to assume that it's not 25.
It isn't. It's an older community. It's an older.
And what are you doing to bring the younger people in?
We do a lot for the younger community. Now, I'll just say, because we know that our bread and butter is this age group, we make sure that the marketing promotions to them is really solid. And then we make sure to find out how we can do more for different, underserved communities or equity, diversity, inclusion. We're really keen on that. Multi-generational, LGBTQ communities as well. So with this, we had a lot of opportunity to try different marketing promotions to a lot of different demographics. And it was so fantastic at the matinee yesterday, the opening of Flute. I saw a group in tuxedos and gowns, and then another group in shorts.
Love it.
Right?
Yep.
And people I've never seen before and people I have seen before.
Okay.
So it's great. And I do a curtain speech and I sort of warm up the crowd and get them all rowdy. But I think what I'm going to do is for the last show, I'm going to say, can you all just raise your hands and clap and let me take a picture?
I love that.
Yes.
Right? Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Plaster that everywhere.
Right. So
and record it and keep that applause for the future performances.
Right. We're trying to make this really approachable, fun, and giving them something in their lives that they're not having for a year. Some of our principal stars, you know this very, very well, have not performed since last February.
It'll be March 3rd. It'll be a year, March 13th. And I will say I had the opportunity, to go and sing, but they wanted me to fly December 28th. And after family discussions, and we've lost so much already, that everyone really had just said, please don't go. No one felt safe enough to send me there. And so I had to, unfortunately, say, I don't feel comfortable in going. And that is, I think, so it was so heartbreaking. But where am I going with all that? But because I said no to that, it'll be a year on March 13th. And that keeps coming up in my brain. And it is so immensely, I don't even know how to put words to it, because whoever thought that we would be here.
I mean, we all thought, didn't you think, Carrie, didn't you, David, think that, oh yeah, okay, 2 or 3 months. Yeah, we'll be fine.
I did, and I'll admit that when the whole mask thing started, I was one of the resistors.
That's okay.
Wow.
I admit it. I thought, what, this is ridiculous, until I really because I didn't understand how it was actually being transmitted. And I find that ridiculous, because we as singers are so, I wouldn't say hypochondriacs.
No, we're
Paranoid.
germaphobes. Germaphobes.
We're
Paranoid, yep.
German allergy phobes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So we're well trained to be not touching things and staying away from people and putting on, masks. So we're well trained for that. We're fine with that. But, when you really discovered what this was all about, and it takes everybody to make sure that we get through this really well. And, I can't imagine, I really feel for you guys very, very deeply. And that was a big part of why I really wanted to do this. I couldn't imagine still be singing right now,
Yeah.
and what to do and what to figure out. And I've had a lot of conversations with some artists that they're sort of having identity crisis a little bit because we put so much into being an artist, and it's
Yes.
and now like, what are we? Who are we if we can't have ourselves resonate?
Yeah.
It's
It's hard
really,
to separate the person from the voice. I've always
really,
said that. And
yeah.
we as artists, as singers, because all three of us are singers, it one feeds the other and they become so intertwined that sometimes you lose yourself into your voice or your voice gets lost into you. And you're right.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
been mental health. Carrie and I, we have harped on this a lot, but it is the biggest ordeal I think of this for artists is
Absolutely.
just keeping our mind healthy and functioning properly and finding the way to do that and
Mhm.
finding the avenue to do that. It's not been.
Absolutely. It seems, Sandra and I were just talking before we met with you, that as we get longer into this, as we find out the vaccine rollout in this country is slower, and it's just not happening as fast as everybody wanted it to, um, the mental breakdown and the emotional breakdown of this is getting to be so long, and when are we actually going to be able to get back to doing what we love, and what do I do in the meantime? How do I survive in the meantime? Those have been the conversations I've had of late. How do I still keep a roof over my head because it's been this long? How do I keep, what do I do in the meantime? And what's been really kind of awesome is that a lot of singers, the positivity in it, say, you know what, I can do both. I can actually learn how to, let's take this time to learn computer programming. Let's take this time to do something else. But I'm also keeping this other part of me, well trained, my body and fighting shape for it, all this kind of stuff. So I love that singers are, we're creative and we're like, hey, how do we make this work? Let's figure it out. We do that every time we walk into a rehearsal room. How do we make this work? So for everyone, and to make something cohesive together and beautiful. So how do I make my life work in this way that I can't sing? And that's the positive spin on all this, is that there are ways to make this work until we can get on stage again. Those of us that haven't been able to sing. So
Very well said, Carrie.
Yeah,
Really,
I think
very
you're
well
right
said.
in the creativity and ingenuity, the virtual, digital, even just small concerts, parking lots,
Mhm.
under a circus tent, what we're doing. I think that honestly keeps giving hope. It really does. Keeps giving hope to our industry and people that are in it. And I really, when it really started to hit hard, I thought about, wow, what if I was a young resident artist trying to,
I want to
right?
talk to you about your resident artists.
Yeah.
What are they
Yeah,
doing?
yeah. So for us, it was we're we care a lot about our resident artist program. So we did not we know, because of what we wanted to do in terms of just principal artists, we wanted to make sure that we still had that for resident artists, so that other resident artists are seeing resident artists in programs still that are actually functioning.
Mm-hmm.
So ours is usually from November to April, but so we limited the time from January through April.
Okay.
And they're getting tested regularly,
Okay.
but they're doing a combination of in-person training, which is all outdoors, socially distanced,
Mm-hmm.
or virtual, digital. So we sort of revamped how the program goes. So they still have diction, they still have coachings, they still have voice lessons, acting lessons, all of that. That's very important for us here for our resident artist program. And in this festival, we gave the opportunity to them to really sing some of the roles,
Cool.
which we really looked at all the resident artists that were auditioning to make sure that we picked folks that we knew could stand on the stage with Mike Fabiano,
Awesome.
Latonia Moore, or Isabel Leonard.
Mm-hmm.
Those people. So they are rising to the occasion, and they're thrilled. They're thrilled. I mean, when they first arrived, they were like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like imagine when you're doing one of your first or second resident artist programs. Well, some of you did at the Met, so you did that anyway. Hello, you.
Yeah,
But
I did. I had quite a few pinch me moments. Carrie and I, we were talking about that the other day too, how we were both in the ring cycle
yes,
in 2000 and never met each other.
I know. How did that happen? I know. How do we miss each other? That's insane.
when you kept going around in the ring and missing each other. Get
Yep.
it?
It's true.
Opera humor, opera humor.
And we were both in Rusalka with Renee Fleming.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't see each other then?
I'm sorry?
And you didn't see each other then either?
No, but we were in Rusalka at different times, I think. We figured out today. Yeah.
You know, I was in it too. You didn't see me. I was the tree.
You were supporting Renee. Hey, don't joke. When I said when we started at the bet, they're like, "What was your first role?" And I was like, "I was the first tree to the right, and then I was the second tree to the left."
You know, you got everyone starts out as a special snowflake. You got to start out somewhere.
Somewhere. That's so, oh my God.
So our resident artists are just, you know, they're championing each other. They're really getting to social distance, getting to know these international stars. We're also making sure that all the agents and managers that come, they get to sing house auditions for them.
Right.
So we're doing as much as we can to make it a really important and impactful program for them that still keeps their careers going.
Love it. Way to go.
Yeah. And we've gotten a lot of sponsorship for that. A lot of people believe in that.
Well, they're the future of opera.
Yeah.
I mean, Carrie and I were, you know, we've had careers, and these young kids, they're going to be the face of the future of opera, and they're the ones who understand this online stuff better than anyone else.
Yeah. Well, I'll phrase it this way: they're going to be joining you in opera because you both are going to keep singing forever because you're fabulous. And we need you.
Yes. Yeah, Carrie. I'm like, what can I? So let's talk about you now. We've talked about Palm Beach Opera.
Oh.
Let's talk about you. How did you get into this world of opera?
Of opera?
Yeah.
Itself? Okay. Wow. Let's go back a couple decades.
Ran a bit down.
You know, I'll admit that I hated opera before I started. Absolutely thought it was ridiculous. A bunch of people caterwauling in a foreign language making no sense.
Yeah. Like why?
I didn't understand. I wanted to be in a rock band, and I was. So I was in rock bands, and I sang like Led Zeppelin.
Awesome.
Boston. Yeah, I did. So I had always sung high like that. So I started to take voice lessons when I was in my early 20s. So I came to this late, actually.
Okay.
I moved quickly. I started studying in my early 20s, and I just thought, you know what, let's just do it for fun. And it grew and grew, and I had the right voice teacher who knew about really good technique, and I was very, very lucky. And, you know, I look back on that and just think, right place, right time.
Cool.
Can we get a name and where it was?
Dr. Edmund Leroy at Rollins College.
Cool.
And I wasn't at Rollins College. I was singing with the Oratorial Society that sang at Rollins College. So I started the voice lessons there. And I did that for a few years and realized, wow, this is incredible. And he immediately started me in certain operatic repertoire. And once I understood what it was, I thought, I can't believe I've wasted so much time. This is the most amazing classical art form. It has everything. Drama, incredible music, singing, orchestra, sets, costumes, colleagues. And I was absolutely smitten and hooked. And I thought, and my whole family and my friends were like, who are you? What is this? You just went from singing Led Zeppelin to singing Handel. What is Handel? You know?
Always has a countertenor?
Yes. You know, I went the first few voice lessons I went, and I was singing tenor at that point. And he said, let's just work through your voice and figure out where you are. And then in like 2 or 3 sessions, he said, I think you're a countertenor. And I went, because I knew of countertenors, and I knew that they sang like lute songs.
Right.
They were in like the Tallis Scholars or the King Singers, which I loved. But I thought, I don't know if I really want to do that. And then he said, no, just hold on. There's some great stuff here. Let's just start going through it. And then we went through more repertoire, and I thought, I love being countertenor.
Well, sorry.
No, it was really interesting because this is going to sound really silly, but it really helped find where my voice sang. Like for real.
Yeah.
And then I decided to go to someone said, why don't you go to graduate school to get a master's in voice? I said, can you do that? Because my undergrad is industrial engineering degree. So then I went back to graduate school to get a master's in voice, and that's where Carrie and I kind of met. And I got my first manager while I was in graduate school with Herbert Barrett, John Anderson. started winning some big competitions like the Met and other things. And
you had an amazing career. You sang on the major opera houses all over the world. So yes, you did. All right. So then tell me this. Why did you decide to transition into the administrative side? And what I also find really super interesting about you are the degrees that you did, were you to arrive where you are now? And the degrees, were you doing those degrees while you were still singing?
right. So I'll try to make this as efficient as possible of an answer. I started as you get higher in the career, you start to meet more of the executive team as well as the major donors and bar players. You'll both have done that. You understand that.
Yes.
So you get called to do a lot of fundraising things. While you're not asking for money, you're there specifically for certain reasons.
Right.
I then started to understand what that was, and I then realized that wow, there are a lot of leaders of companies that are running the business yet hiring the artists who don't know artists how to sing, or hiring the artists and trying to run the business and they don't know how to run a business.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to think, I think we need more leaders that have both acumen. And then we had the first global pandemic crisis start to hit. And I thought, okay, you've thought about your future. Do you want to be a voice teacher? Do you want to be a director? Or do you want to help the art form in another way? And I felt a responsibility, a personal responsibility to go put my money where my mouth was and be an executive director that knew everything I needed to know.
Right.
So I stopped accepting gigs. So I had gigs for like 3 more years.
Okay.
And then as the space between them, I started to create internships at some opera houses, specifically in fundraising or marketing.
Okay.
So I knew enough about the artistic production.
Right.
And so I did that all the way through. My last thing that I did was a duet recording in Australia in the summer of 2010. And then in August or September, I started the 2 degrees at CCM, University of Cincinnati,
Mm-hmm.
which is a Master's of Arts, Arts Administration, and an MBA, Arts Administration focus.
Cool.
So I tried not to waste any time between transferring from singing to actual administration.
Right.
And it worked. I mean, not everybody has to go that path. Not everybody does. There's a lot of singers that go right into jobs, which are great.
Mm-hmm.
It was just something that I wanted to do for me. And
sure.
I felt I needed to do for the industry.
I love that. Well, I'm so grateful you did, David. Really, truly.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. That means a lot to me. It really does.
Well, no, I mean, just not to take the time to actually understand
Mm-hmm.
the new job, the new process, the whole job, not just the singing aspect of it,
Mm-hmm.
because we are very fortunate that we get to see more of the business, not just the singing side,
Mm-hmm.
but to really understand it and embrace it.
Mm-hmm. Carrie said before about both the footlights, and I realized I really wanted to know both sides of the footlights.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very valuable for the company you work for, the board you have, the patrons you have, and the artists that come work for you. All of those see how you can work on the administrative side, but also more importantly for artists, they understand that when I talk to them, I know what they're doing and I understand what they're going through. It's a different conversation than some that they have, as you know, very well know. Yeah. Some general directors they don't know how to talk to you in terms of that.
No, I love that. I've always found the whole business itself extremely interesting. And it didn't really hit me until what we were just talking about at the Met in the ring. And I was a kid and I was covering, but I had to go get my check. And I walked through these offices of all these little cubicles and I went, oh my God, like I'm one part of in this wheel house that is flying around. And what is this business like? How does this function? And I've always found it really fascinating and exciting. So, but I really love when a singer actually makes the transition to the other side and understands the whole of it. You know exactly what I'm going through when I'm standing on that stage, singing Tosca, dealing with craziness all around me. And I mean, you understand that, which I feel like gives you this wonderful way to bring in the right people, not just singers, but directors, and all of it, the whole picture. You know who you want on a team so that everything is cohesive and works the way it should.
Yeah, that's a very good point that I hadn't really quite realized. The understanding of what the team creation and collaboration is, how incredibly important that is.
Yeah.
I think more singers should know the business side of our business and not just the singing side, because I think they understand the whole cog, not just a cog in the wheel, but the whole wheel, and how it has to keep functioning.
Hmm.
Not just we are such a small part as artists of such a big business.
Hmm. You know what sorry, what I've realized is that I realized a lot from grad school afterwards. The things they didn't focus on or teach me about or teach us about.
Mhm.
First of all, the business of singing. No one said this is actually how to try to have a career. Health insurance, taxes,
Thank you.
visas, agents. No
Saving
one really.
money.
What's that?
Nobody tells you about saving money as an artist.
Exactly. Saving money, finances.
You know
No.
what? Oh, sorry. But they do in every other music program that is not classical. Like if you go through the music or musical theater programs in schools, they have music business classes. They have those things. I didn't know this until I started talking to somebody else that went through, I think even like the Belmont program here in Nashville, that they actually have those classes for them. It is not part of our curriculum as a classical music artist to learn business. So the songwriters that are going in there to get their degrees in songwriting, in publishing and whatever, they have access to that, not the performers, which is insane because we should have access to those classes or be made to have that part of our degree program.
Very well said, Carrie. I agree.
Amen. And I'll admit that when, like you just said, Carrie, when you went down to the administrative offices and you were like, "Ooh, what's this world?" to get your check, I admit that I was a little nervous to go down there at some of the big places that I worked at. I'm like, I have no idea what this is and who these people are, and this feels very strange. And I realized too that I had been so focused on me because it's sort of inevitable in terms of being a singer that it's not that you're self-centered, but you have to be centered on yourself.
Yeah,
Because this is the crap, this is the work, this is the product.
mm-hmm.
I'm not making an Excel document or a Word document. I'm making it right here in front of 3,000 people. And I think that for grad school and undergrad, if we start to talk about this with upcoming artists,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to really make a big difference. And I think because of this crisis, this is a great time for us to talk about it because younger singers are really starting to understand that.
Absolutely.
The both sides, how they have to come together
Yeah.
to make
Opera
this
needed to change. Opera, we have preached this for the last year, Carrie and I.
Mhm.
Opera needed a huge reboot. And I think this is just one small part of how opera needed to change. Do you agree?
I would agree. Absolutely. And one positive thing is that we're trying to help each other. What you guys are doing, you're trying to help each other. You're trying to reach out and just let everyone know they're not alone and that together we can do this. We need to support and prop each other up.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, more so than ever. A lot of the things that used to feel like such a big deal about the career don't feel that way anymore. I mean, it's just not important. What's important is actually just making the art and making sure the art is good enough, that the art is important enough. What the stories are and how the stories are being told is important enough, at least to what I think. I love that the business wants to change. I want to see it though. I really want to see it. And I'm hoping that it's not all these conversations, especially about the BLM movement, hasn't been for naught. You know, it hasn't, these people that have been out there being asked to say what they've been asked to say really wasn't a waste of their time. Does that make sense? So I really hope that there's change, lasting change that happens. I would like to know from you, if you can talk about anything, is there anything now that you are running this ship, are head of this wonderful opera company that I love so dearly, what plans do you have for the future? What do you want your stamp to be on PBO?
Well, I didn't really realize that I've already started to put the stamp on PBO, certainly in terms of showing resiliency, ingenuity, creativity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to increasing the artistic standard here. It's been excellent, but let's keep going. Let's keep going in those directions. I look forward to continued training of resident artists. I would like to see if we can do more productions.
Cool.
I know we're seasonal,
Mm-hmm.
but we used to do a performance in December, which around the Great Recession, I think we had to remove it.
Right.
In those regards, I would like to see us be even more, what's the right way to phrase this? Integrated into this community here. I know what we need to do nationally and for the industry, which is wonderful.
Right.
But this community it's unusual community because there's so much extraordinary wealth right up against extremely underserved communities.
Yes.
And we do really great with education and community engagement programs.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like us to find more. I'd like us to find more and be more regularly in their lives, not just one-offs.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Those types of things. I look forward to seeing what we're able to do with this company. You know, obviously very creative here. So we'll see what this festival does and see if it stays with us or what format it takes.
I love that.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you. Thank you both for doing this, what you're doing for a year.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we have it'll be a year come April, I think 9th or something like that. A year we've been doing this, and we have interviews and interviews and interviews coming. It's like, what's happened to our lives? Okay.
Happy anniversary.
We have learned a lot about Carrie, especially about all editing, about asking people for interviews. I mean, Carrie and I are both slightly introverted in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
So asking people to come on our show was a very difficult hurdle for both of us, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, because you're asking someone to come online and talk, and it's out there forever. And so, but that's why we do recorded, because I always wanted people to know that if they were uncomfortable with anything they said, even up to a certain deadline, I can get in there and edit it out and change it. Because I want what they say and what we say on the internet, something that is lasting forever, that they would never be embarrassed about to go back and watch. Now, there are certain things that she and I do shenanigans and I'm like, oh, Lord mercy, that is on the internet.
Did we do enough shenanigans on this show, you think?
Oh, we're getting to them because we're going to hit rapid fire with you. Are you ready for rapid fire?
No, but hold on.
Wait, cheers.
A fun joke. When you did this,
yeah,
it reminds me of a fun story when I did like 10 shows with David Daniels when he was like his rock star status.
Yeah.
And every time he'd have one of his 9-minute arias, that I'd go like when we were singing Rhode Island at the Met and stuff, and he'd look over at me and I go.
All right, rapid fire.
Yeah, see, that's just, it's just freaky because you have higher notes than I do.
I don't think so at all.
Oh my gosh.
You both have super higher notes.
Okay. What is the worst habit you will never break?
Drinking wine.
Perfect.
Okay. What one thing has this pandemic revealed to you?
I know this is supposed to be rapid. It revealed that I have insecurities in there, and I'm scared of some things and nervous about some stuff.
Beautifully said.
No.
Beautifully said. Thank you.
What's your guilty pleasure?
Watching horror movies. My husband and I love to watch horror movies. So we're crazy. So we do super international, like Indian from India, Asian, Chinese, Korean, French, Canadian.
You can sleep after that?
I know.
Yeah, we really do. That is such a guilty pleasure. It really is.
Oh my God, I love that so much.
So the last thing you Googled?
Oh my gosh, the last thing, I actually Googled the Palm Beach Opera website to check something to make sure it was fixed. I'll just say my team hates me. So whenever I have any moments, I'm like, fix this, please. But that's the last thing I did Google. It's not fun.
What is a fashion trend that you do not understand?
Oh, the spandex jean thing.
Oh, like jeggings.
Jeggings. And the thing that I don't understand them is about wearing them out as a fashion thing for like dinner or when we were all going out for stuff. Like, how is that fashionable or dressed up? How is that dressing up?
BPL, right?
I will make sure I will make sure next time I work at PBO that I have a pair of those on first day of rehearsal just for you.
And you're gonna go.
Oh.
Okay, what's more important to you, music or words?
Music.
Do you have a motto that you live by or a mantra that you live by?
Be genuine, always.
Love it.
What single person most changed your life?
Oh,
Uh-oh.
that's hard. I mean, there's so many people that have helped me change in so many ways. I probably would say someone that was very early in my music exposure. So
Okay.
someone in elementary school, one of the music teachers from elementary school that really like gave me the bell or the recorder to start playing, because that's where I fell in love and thought, what is this world? What is this world? Because before I was a singer, I still sang in choirs and things, but I was an instrumentalist first. So I started with the trumpet and then went to French horn.
That's what we have in common. I'm remembering now.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
had forgotten.
French horn geeks?
Yep, total.
You were
That is
French horn, Carrie? Wait, did I learn something new about you today?
I played French horn from 3rd grade through 12th grade, and I eventually marched it with a mellophone.
I marched it with a mellophone and with drum major.
I learned something new today.
You were a drum major?
I don't ever get to talk to anyone about the mellophone. This has made my life right now. I don't know if I've used the word mellophone in 20 years.
People, Google it.
No, that's amazing, right?
More stuff. This is fun.
Okay. What talent would you love to have?
Baking and cooking. I'm just not good at it, and my partner does it for us. And I'm good at eating, but actually baking and cooking things. Well, first of all, I don't think I have the patience for it.
Okay.
I just don't.
Did you guys do the whole bread thing during the pandemic, like searching for yeast?
We didn't.
Okay, good for you. Good for you.
Favorite place on earth?
Paris.
Bienvenue.
Bienvenue.
It's not looking very.
And not only do I love Paris, I love the room you're in Paris. That is my favorite room of Paris.
I have a little secret here, and I know I shouldn't talk about myself, but this is my favorite dressing room to warm up in because it literally is like a bathtub.
I love bathrooms warming up in.
I love the acoustic in this dressing room, and that table right there. Can you see that table right there?
Yeah.
When I sing up my note, it goes. Could you not?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you 100% about the joy of certain rooms to sing it or warm up in the acoustics. So Harry Bickett used to be angry with me all the time for always warming up in the bathroom. He'd come in and go, dude, in his British way. Whatever British people say, they say, dude.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
So just as a fun question, so how do you work the acoustic differences of the acoustics from your dressing room to what the hall is? Do you think about that when you're warming up in that room?
No, I'm a feeler. I'm not a listener. I'm a feeler.
Okay.
Carrie, I think Carrie is too, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And some singers, we talk about this. Singers need to figure out if they feel things or if they hear things, or if they do a combination of both when they're on stage, because it is a huge difference.
It is
Massive.
I'm definitely a feeler, but I had to hear it to understand I didn't feel wrong or
right
doing it wrong. Does that make sense?
Right. Yep, totally.
That was my first. That was probably my best pedagogy there, right there.
I love
my best pedagogy.
Yes.
Okay.
Cheers.
I'm going to ask, cheers. I'm going to ask this question because you are a general director. What opera piece would you suggest someone new to classical music or opera listen to?
Oh.
I think, the ABCs of our opera are great ways to start because they're timeless. They're still classic, even though we've heard them about 300,000 million times.
Mm-hmm.
Bohème on Friday night, sung well and done well is there's just nothing like it.
There's not.
Sometimes you don't want to go see Bohème again, but I would recommend the ABCs, certainly.
Gotcha.
What's the most underrated opera, in your opinion?
In terms of large repertoire or like random repertoire?
It should be more popular.
Contemporary opera. Okay. I think it gets a bad rap.
Mm-hmm. It does.
And it stems sort of from the 50s, 60s, 70s when they were just sort of really doing contemporary music based on theoretical things and so it really wasn't musically sounding good. Yes. It was way interesting for musicologists and people trying to create an engineering thing onto a score, which I find really fascinating. What's that?
Too cerebral?
Too cerebral. But there is a lot of contemporary opera that is beautiful and very dramatic and tells a great story and is written well for orchestras and singers and is captivating for audience members.
I think so too. Best advice you'd give a younger you?
Just stay genuine. Just really, really stay genuine. And don't fall for the ego thing. Don't fall for it. It's so hard not to.
Yeah.
I admit I even did it for a couple years and I didn't like myself. I didn't like where I went.
Yeah.
I really fell for it. And I was one who would never have fallen for it. But it's just the business, like we talked about before, that pressure, that pressure, and the competition, and you're only good as the last gig you sang. It really messes with your mind.
Yeah.
So don't fall for it.
Well said.
Well, you know what? And also, actually, when you start to understand where it may be coming from in your own insecurities.
Yep. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. That's really where I really gave myself a punch in the face and said, stop it. Why are you so insecure that you're actually starting to do this?
Yep. I think that social media actually plays into that. And now we're all in social media, everything, our whole careers, your company, all of it is online. And I think when you start comparing yourself to other artists and where they are in their career versus yours, it's what I was taught early on. Don't. You always focus on you focus on your goals and meeting those goals, and boom, check. Stop comparing yourself and stop looking around everywhere else. What you need to do is focus on you being the best artist you can be, period.
That's beautifully said. And I would advise, create your own little board of directors that can help you from going down that path.
Brilliant.
I hope the young artists listen to this. I really do.
I think they do. Please.
I hope so.
They love Screaming Divas.
I love you. Okay.
So, more questions.
I have one more and Carrie has one more. Who is your biggest celebrity crush?
It used to be Tom Selleck.
He was hot.
So that was totally embarrassing. But you know what? It's live life and enjoy it. So yes, that was an 80s reference. Yes, I'm a little older.
I love that.
But that was a big celebrity crush.
What about now? 2021.
Honestly, I don't have time to any crushes. I don't have time. I'm too busy.
I don't believe that. My
husband.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, hey.
He's your crush. Always.
Always.
No, he's adorable.
He is. He's super adorable and super talented. Okay. Question I ask everybody: what is your favorite cuss word?
It depends on the usage, but I have to say the F word. There's a lot of variety you can get in flavor and color. It could be used for like really good things, like that was effing great.
Yes.
Or shut the F up. Or so it has so much variety and color and flavor, and universal versatility and universal.
Nicolas Cage has a new TV show on. I don't know if it's Netflix or Amazon Prime about swear words and the etymology of them. And I'm telling you, it is amazing. And he is really funny. Nicolas Cage is closet funny.
Oh yeah, he's like strangely funny.
Yeah,
we need to watch that.
Yeah.
All right, shall I ask the last thing, or do you want to ask the last thing?
No, go ahead.
If heaven exists, what would you want to hear God say as you walk through the pearly gates?
You were beloved.
True. You could say that right now, David.
He totally would.
Thank you. No, that was it. Yes, I think that would be amazing to hear, wouldn't it?
Yes.
I think everyone needs to hear that.
Yeah.
Just to know that you were loved and what you did was good.
You guys are tricky. Gonna get me all emotional here.
Oh, but listen, you wouldn't be the first and you won't be the last.
No.
And, yeah, there you go.
Yes, girl. That's why we friends. Okay.
Well,
Well, it's 7 o'clock here, so
Ooh.
don't stop believing.
even
Hold
hold
on.
on to the feeling.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you so much, David, for doing this, for talking about PBO. I was so excited to see what you were doing and had to have this conversation. So I'm so grateful that you said yes.
Yeah, we did.
Are you kidding? Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having Pompi Chopra. Thank you for doing what you're doing for
Absolutely.
everyone. Everyone needs it. So thank you.
It's Screaming Divas. Coming soon.
Coming soon to Palm Beach.
Theater near you.
Yes.
Nonsense and ridiculousness. So
Yeah, you know what? We work hard.
okay.
We work hard. We're great professionals. We're very serious about it. We take it very seriously, but we also know how to realize joy is important.
Absolutely. Every day, let me tell you.
Yes.
I love you guys.
Love you too.
Thank you. Love you. Good to see you.
Bye.
Bye.